Hey, folks, nice to see everyone here again. Welcome to this edition of the Jitsi Community Call. Um, I personally don't have any reports to make this time around, other than everything we've discussed is still ongoing. Does anyone here from the team want to make some updates about more specific topics? I believe we are already, one thing that's worth pointing out is that we already have multiple stream support deployed on beta. People want to try it out. I'm right? Right? I think I did test.
Yes.
Yes, yes, that's true.
And it's also available in master. So folks, we encourage you to try it out on your own installations. It's a pretty neat feature and a collaborative one as well. So I'm very happy that we got this done. Anyone else from the team? Any updates?
I have an update. I'm working on updating all dependencies of Jitsi, and that is the last piece to drop totally Java 8 support. So soon everything will be Java 11 and above.
That is cool. Anyone else?
I can mention there was a few fixes around the resizing logic and calculating the thumbnail sizes. For one of them was for tile view. We were not taking into account height resize. Um, it was similar for the new layout, but I think that one is not enabled here anyway. Um There was one other little fix for the scroll bar size. Uh, it was kind of changing weirdly when you scroll. Now this is fixed. And yeah, I think that's all I remember for now, actually.
Very much. Anyone else? In that case, let's open the floor to the rest of the community. Any questions or comments from the community?
Hi, this is Andrew speaking.
Hey, Andrew.
We're fairly new to the Jitsi as a service. We just installed it and have some basic questions. Is that okay?
Yeah, usually call for the open source project in general, but I suspect that a lot of the questions that you have would probably apply to just general usage of Jitsi as well. So let's see if I'm right. Go ahead and ask.
Sure. Well, we just installed Jitsi as a service for a customer, and we're going to be using it for a podcasting platform. And we noticed that there's no way to ban somebody if they come into the room uninvited. And I was just wondering, we just selected the first level, the free level, up to 25 users, I believe. What was what it was?
25 endpoints, yeah.
So just to get started, how do we get the admin privileges to be able to ban somebody if they're disruptive during the podcast?
So banning someone suggests an identity, a recognizable identity, because you need to know that the someone that is trying to join is the same someone as the one that just left, right? That you just kicked out. You cannot do this with an open platform. You have to have a platform where every user is known. Okay. The way that you do that with Jitsi as a service is that you have to turn on authentication, which means that every person who comes in have to come in with a token that you have signed, right? The embedding app signs the token. So and then you need to make sure that the way that you distribute these tokens to users is one consistent with some sort of an identity. And based on that, you can essentially not give the token again to the user that you're banning. You can also blacklist the token on Jitsi as a service so that they cannot join again with their previous token. So it is a developmental solution. It's not something that you can just do from the user interface without having identity, because it cannot work without identity.
Okay, so what I'm hearing you say is that you have to be in developer mode?
No, but Jitsi, so Jazz is a developer service, right? It's not an end user service. It's a developer service. You can easily kick people without doing any development action, right? But that's not what you're interested in. You want to kick someone, and you want to make sure that they stay out, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that means that you have to be able to recognize that this is the same person, which means that you have to introduce identity. So the way that you do this with Jitsi as a service is that, Jitsi as a service itself is on a lower layer. It does not concern itself with identity. It just asks you what the identity is. And you do that by creating tokens that you pass to us. And we don't let anyone in unless you've told us, yes, this person is safe to put in. But that does require, some sort of you implementing some sort of logic that assigns this identity to people.
And maybe I didn't ask the question clearly. Is that token identified when you've logged in using the email address that you used to subscribe to Jitsi as a service? When you log in, you're in developer mode. Is that where that token is generated?
No, that's a token that you generate. So in terms of Jitsi as a service, you, the developer, are our user, and we authenticate you on getting on Jitsi as a service and configuring the way that you want to use the service. But that's not use of Jitsi. That's just use of your configuration as Jitsi as a service. Now, when we run the Jitsi as a service platform, we also say we're not going to let anyone into the meeting unless you want us to. By default, we assume that you want everyone in. There's a checkbox that says, no, I want to only allow people that come in with a key, that come in with a signed token. And when you click that checkbox, we're just going to, we're just going to reject anyone who doesn't come in with a token that you, the developer, has signed. Now, if you feel that this is over your head, like if it's like, oh man, I didn't subscribe to this, I could tell you this from another perspective as well. So if you're going to have a podcast, you don't really need Jitsi as a service. You don't really need our paid service. You can just go on Meet Jitsi and you create a link that that is unique enough. You can also stream the conference on some of the streaming platforms. So you're going to send the link to the panel of participants in the podcast. Every podcast listener, you're just going to direct to YouTube or something like that. And you're simply going to protect yourself from ever having undesirable participants by not making the link public at all at any point. And the only thing that's public is the viewer channel on YouTube. Does that make sense?
Yes. You're doing a great job explaining. The only thing that I would like to point out is we tried that, and our podcast is going to not be for selected participants. The podcast is open for anyone in the world to join. And when we did use the Jitsi Meet product, the privileges to kick people out and set a password in the room, we've had some problems with that. So we moved.
Were you using the moderated conferences?
No, I do know that there's the moderated conferences, but then you got to send out those tokens. And when we're inviting anyone from anywhere to join in,
you can be the moderators yourselves. Your panel participants don't need particular tokens. You can keep your tokens for yourselves if you want to be doing that.
I understand, but just to be clear, if you're using the moderated version and you're sending out the token, it's a long string. It's not simple like the call. We're using the call.
Yes.
So what we want to keep it simple so anyone can come in and use something simple like the call and come in from anywhere. And when they do that, then they can come in, they can boot everybody out and change the password on the room, and then you're screwed up. That's what we experienced. So we moved to the Jitsi as a service where people can't just boot everybody out. But if somebody does come in that we need to boot out, that was the purpose for my question. And you did answer it. I thank you very much. We'll look for that checkbox and move forward with that. Thank you.
Just to be clear, if you turn on that checkbox, no one will be able to go into the conference. No one, unless something on your end creates a token for that person. So essentially we're saying, okay, we're banning anyone. You become the complete gatekeeper. So for every user, you're going to tell us a yes or a no, and it's not going to be a matter of a checkbox only, right? You have to add some code as well. Does that make sense?
Understood. Thank you very much.
All right. Sounds great. So I think there was a chat message as well. Well, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for doing these meetings and Emmanuel. Oh, thank you for your kind words, fellow Jitster. We have Wayne with a raised hand. Wayne?
Hi, Emil.
Where is yours?
I had a recurring problem with a Jitsi conference the other day. This has happened now twice, and it's become a little bit of a pet peeve of mine. And it has to do with the aspect ratio of the tiles. Months ago, the tiles were always 16 by 9 or whatever the aspect ratio of the person's camera was. Now it varies all over the map. Sometimes it's even portrait mode instead of landscape mode. And I was in a conference with two people sharing a camera, sitting side by side, and all I could see was what was between them on the wall. And the only way I could see the whole thing is to look at just their picture.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'm just wondering, is there any way that there could be an option to revert to what used to have months ago, where it maintained the aspect ratio of the camera?
So not exactly, but you have two things that you could do. The first one is wait, and we are currently working on face centering. So we are essentially going to look for a face somewhere in the video, and rather than just blindly cutting everything on the side, if the face is on one side, we're just going to detect it and cut everything to the right of the face. For example.
How do you deal with two faces then sharing a camera?
Okay, if two faces are sharing a camera, that will not solve the issue. What you can do, there is an option that lets you preserve the aspect ratio, which I don't remember off the top of my head. Maybe someone else here can remind me. It doesn't bring you back to the old configuration. It just keeps the tiles as they are. We're just going to letterbox the video in that tile, and you're going to see everything, and there's going to be no adjustment. Can someone please help me here?
So actually, so I'm not sure about the one that you're saying.
I know that.
Sorry, but there was another one which actually fixes the ratio to 16 by 9 in most cases. I mean, in most cases, there was an exception for when you resize your screen to something very small, under, let's say, I don't remember the exact numbers, but maybe under 750 pixels or something like that. We do them square, but that was the only thing. Otherwise, I think everything else should be the same. And yeah, I can check it out, and I'm gonna post it in the chat if that's good enough.
Yeah, sure, it'll help. I didn't see any problem with having the aspect ratio as it was normally several months ago. And then there was a change made, and it's just in my mind, it's a change for the worse. But maybe there's others that feel the other way. But in any case, at least an option to be able to revert to whatever that is coming out of the person's camera would be wonderful.
I mean, any change ever that assumes and optimizes for a certain use case is likely to degrade usage in other use cases. So that's, it's kind of expected. So Christo is going to share the option that he mentioned. I'm going to try and find for you the other one. I don't know if I'd be able to do that during the call. Between the two of those, you should find something that matches your need.
Actually, Freddy already pasted it, but I checked, and that's the one. disable tile enlargement to false. You can use it also with the URL, by the way.
So maybe Christo, if you can just post. Thank you, Freddie, very much. Christo, if you could just post an example URL with the option at the end, so that.
Yeah, sure.
Terrific. I will use that and pass that information on to other users as we need it. I also had just a question about the chat. In Zoom, it's real easy to copy what's in the chat accurately with spaces maintained and line feeds and all. When I try to copy the chat and paste it into a text editor, as this is now on in Jitsi, it does not do that. It does not format the text very well, and it's real hard to pick through and reformat it. And I'm just wondering if is there any work being done on fixing the chat so that it's more easily copied and pasted into other apps?
So I just copied the chat here, and I pasted it in some random editor.
That does not look bad.
But
I'm using the Jitsi app image, if that makes any difference.
A Jitsi app image. I'm not sure what that is. What is a Jitsi app image?
It's provided the Jitsi Meet app image in
That's
that format.
The Electron.
Oh,
yeah, Electron app. Yeah.
Okay. Well, the Electron app is, so this is what happens when you just do this out of here. When what gets out of Electron is, I guess, subject to more variability depending on however it is that Electron version is configured.
Mm-hmm.
We don't really maintain the Electron version that much. It's something that's just meant for
example. Yes.
What happened to ML? He disappeared?
Yeah, he's back.
Oh, okay.
So
there you are.
So yeah,
you disappeared, ML, and your volume is very low.
Wrong mic.
Wrong mic.
Better?
No.
I mean, Zoom's chat function is not that good. It's just, yeah, has a lot of other problems, I think. No.
Yeah, I agree. It's just that for this particular use case, it is better than. But
yes. So, well, long story short, no one's working on that. It seems to be working okay in the browser. Not sure what's going on in Electron.
Yeah.
No one is looking into it.
Well, by the way, the Electron app and the app image is a really fabulous thing. It is really nice to be able to recommend it to people. I found that most people have a problem with the browser and very few problems with the app image. They just put it in their Linux distro and run it, and it works. So it is very nice that you provide that. I hope you can continue to do that.
Glad to know that it's helpful. We hope to be able to continue to do it, but we are probably not going to be able to invest more time in it than we are already.
Okay,
so that's not going to help you with the chat problem.
Yeah.
I'm afraid.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for stopping by. So I saw that there was a question on the chat that goes like this. Could theoretically Jitsi be updated to allow the person creating a meeting to create different passwords to distribute to participants? Passwords in this case being single use or something. That's exactly what tokens are for. I recommend having a look at Jazz. Nothing like that exists for Jitsi, and I don't think it theoretically could because it's an open access platform. The closest to that is if you go to Jitsi, you will see that there's a moderated way. There's a way to use Meet Jitsi in a moderated kind of way. It's not exactly what you're asking. It's not individual passwords, but at least it gives you the option to be the only admin. So what you could do is activate lobby and kick out the people that you don't want, and then not let them back in through the lobby. That's the only thing you could do with Meet Jitsi. Otherwise, if you really want fine-grained control and single-use passwords, well, that's what tokens are for on Jazz. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Great. I don't see any other questions in here. So anyone else maybe want to ask a question?
Hi.
Hi, Hagai. How are you doing?
Great. How are you? Haven't been here for a while.
Well, glad to see you back. We're doing great. What can we do for you?
Great. No, I don't really have like a serious question. Just wondering.
Okay, funny question then.
A funny question. No, not that funny. Sorry. More of a. I was wondering, like, it takes time to load every time you go to Jitsi. I've noticed that for the past like year, and I do remember like times where it wasn't taking a long time. That kind of came in with a new UI, I guess. Is there anything being done in that regard, or is it some problem with, I don't know, React or some other library?
I don't know what you mean. It's always tricky to talk about timing issues.
Mhm.
One thing that I do know is that we have this. Sorry, did someone want to venture a guess here?
Yeah, I wanted to ask: is it when you're joining calls, and by any chance are they big calls, maybe?
No, it's consistently everywhere. So yeah, it's just like this like loading thing that goes around for like 2-3 seconds, no big deal, but kind of I remember there were times where it wasn't there, so I was just wondering.
The one thing that comes to mind is we have this delay for where we wait for access to your microphone and camera, and we wait for a while to make sure that we've either been able to open them or we've asked you the question, and then that might result in flickering because it looks like things are being reloaded. I have no idea whether that's what you're seeing, but so the issue would the answer to your question is we're not aware of a timing issue. You might be able to help if are you talking about Meet Jitsi or are you talking about your own installation?
I'm talking about everywhere, everything.
Well, if you can reproduce that on your own installation, then you should actually be able to easily add time markings, for example. We already print some time markings, so if you could, look into that. We have these lines. I think they should still be there.
Yeah, filter time.
Yeah, filter for time. Have a look at, maybe record a few values over your usage. Tell us what you're seeing. Is it always the same thing that's slow? Is it different things? That would be helpful.
Okay, I'll try opening a ticket. It's just maybe it's not even 2-3 seconds. Maybe it's 1 second, but it's still like something noticeable. So yeah.
I'm wondering, where do you see this spinner? Because I'm not even.
I can share my
I mean,
screen to
maybe
show it right now
we
if you
have
want.
something, but
I mean, let me share my screen real quick. So let's just go to.
That's the Windows, right?
Yeah. There it is. Did you see it?
No.
Okay.
You actually your video disappeared.
Uh-huh. Like right in the middle, there's like.
Yeah, but that felt like. Can you do it again?
Yeah. There. Like everything's gray, and then there's like less than a second. Something. Sometimes it's a bit longer. Sometimes it's a bit.
The reflicker through gray is what I was talking about.
Yeah. So I guess I meant that then.
So that is the thing. I don't believe that that's actually introducing a big delay in and of itself. It's just very annoying. But the fact that your video disappeared exactly when you were doing this makes me think that you might actually be having some sort of a congestion issue. It might actually be a bandwidth problem, and that would explain the slowness as well. You know what I mean?
Can you try again with the new tab maybe as well? Because when you're refreshing, actually, there's loading.
Okay. Kind of loads, then it goes away, and then
that flicker is what I was talking about. So that has something to do with the way that we handle verifying for permissions, and I agree with you. It's annoying as heck, and it's been on our list of things to get to. We still see your screen, by the way, so don't read your email.
Yeah, no, it's just a test account. Don't worry.
Yeah, and yeah, we hope that we are going to get to that. From what I understand, it's not exactly trivial to fix, but yeah, it's been annoying me as well.
Yeah, that's okay. Super interesting that you're aware of that and that you know that. I just thought, am I the only one noticing it? Because it's very, very, very disturbing for me. Yeah, cool. Thanks.
Thank you for stopping by. Do we have anyone else? And it sounds like then we're ready to wrap. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining. I'm looking forward to seeing